Hello, this is Wood Stuff with Hutch. Welcome to my channel. I'm a professional woodworker. I do this full time. And, there's lots of tools that I buy that are high end. But for anyone and everyone, I've found some interesting things from Harbor Freight that I use all the time. And by all the time, I mean some of them are every day. So the number one tool that I use every day in my shop is a Harbor Freight 8-gallon compressor. Now you may be thinking, you're a professional, why don't you have a bigger and better one? Well, in fact, I do, but it's a 10 horsepower 3-phase, it's a monster, and electricians cost a lot of money, so it's not hooked up yet. But regardless, this has served me very well. Can you believe that I've been using this compressor every day for 10 years? That's right, 10 years. Now you may be thinking, is it really that good of a quality? Well, it's basic. It's just your run-of-the-mill entry-level compressor. And one thing you should know is in the beginning, I actually had a problem. The first one I bought didn't even work right out of the package. There was something wrong with the electrical on-off switch. And I returned it to Harbor Freight, and they took it right back. I may have bought a better warranty than what came with it initially, but since it happened instantly, I'm pretty sure they'd take it back no matter what. It was such a short period of time. But they honored that, and they gave me a new one, and it's worked just fine. Again, it's lasted me a long time, so I'm pretty impressed. The next item that I use on a regular basis are these moving pads or moving blankets. I use the larger size. I think they have two sizes, or they used to. In any case, this has served me very well. They're extremely inexpensive and they go on sale pretty regularly. Obviously, with Harbor Freight, you can always use coupons, but I've got maybe 10 of these, and they're great for padding your work surface if you have a finished product or something you've finished sanded and you need to do more work on it. For instance, if you had a tabletop and you had to flip it over to make some layouts for the bottom or the base, anything like that, or installing the base after it's been finished, etc. But I use these mostly for when I have to move my finished product or deliver it to the customer. I've got a big van, and of course, you want to make sure everything gets to the customer unharmed. But that's really all there is to it. Straightforward, use it all the time. Another thing that I use on a regular basis are their toggle clamps. They have them very cheap and they're well built, so there's no reason not to use them. There's some very expensive ones out there on the market, but these are really cheap. And I've used them primarily in my coping sled for my router table and my shaper. And you can see, sturdy, held up long time. And I also use them for template routing so that I can hold my workpieces in place safely while I'm running them along a router bit. And another place that I have used them is when cutting angle cuts using sleds on my table saw and even on my tapering jig. So lots of uses in my shop. I use them everywhere, and I have no reason not to keep buying them. A very good deal, well worth it. And for my next one, I've got their sorting bins. I've found that these are perfectly good quality. They have their downsides. They're not 100% perfect, but I found that if you kind of hunt on the shelf, that they have some better ones than others. Some of the molds and plastics are more flexible. The bins inside, you can see, have bows in them so they don't line up with their holding mechanisms on the lid everywhere, but some are better than others. And for large items like these hinges and cabinet hardware, they work great. Nothing moves around, all that. This is the deeper one, and then the narrower one is where I hold a lot of screws and small items, and they actually do a pretty good job of staying in place. I hold these vertically on the shelf like this. That's how I store them. And of course, I take them on the job site into customers' houses for installs. And the screws, for the most part, stay where they're supposed to be. Some of them do transfer bins a little bit, but nothing crazy. And for the price, compared to things like the Milwaukee bins, I tell you what, these are a huge savings, and they've served me just fine. And for my last item, marking crayons. Yes, marking crayons. Harbor Freight sells these, and they're dirt cheap. Now, what do you use these for? Well, I use these for when I break down solid wood lumber, and every time I do that, I pick up these crayons, and they have them in yellow and red. I use the red most of the time, but say if I'm using walnut, some darker woods, grab the yellow. Super cheap. I think they're $2 or $3 for a package of 5. They last forever. In fact, these yellow ones, I can't remember when I bought yellow the last time. I've had these for ages. Tell you what, I was surprised when I found they had these, but why buy others or more expensive ones? Now, of course, there may be some to mail order that are just as cheap, but why use mail order when I can just get them at the local Harbor Freight store and I don't have to wait? Instant gratification, right? So there you have it, short and sweet. Nothing fancy, nothing particularly special, but as a professional, these are items I use all the time. I go to Harbor Freight whenever I need them, and I find them all useful, all worth their weight in what you pay for them, and I recommend them. I think you can trust these items. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time.